the guys at XT were kind enough to send me over their brand new piston. I've had pistons from them before, and what I quite liked about them was they obviously they're much cheaper than the regular Rocket or SHS pistons that we've been using for the last 10 years, but they were a lot cheaper. The bodies were identical. Of those pistons, but the rack, although it's really good. I mean, the old rack. This is the new rack. Don't confuse. This is I don't have one of the old ones with me at the moment, but the old rack was slightly different. Was missing a little bit of material on the rack, on the pickup tooth there. It still performed fantastically as a real budget piston, and it was pretty much the cheapest piston really that you can buy, that it's even really worth buying for around about £5. I think they all are. I think all £5. So the XT version of this one was £5, and but it would have put some people off. It put some techs off. Really, there was a tiny little gap there, which you could fill it if you wanted to. But I tested it to death, and I couldn't get it to break or really on any of that. But they went away. They come up with a slightly different design. Again, it's heavily based on the classic standard piston, the SHS piston here. It's got a slightly different, I don't know if you can see that, it's got a slightly different raised area, a little bit more thicker material on the front here. So whether or not that makes much of a difference, I don't know. I mean, I don't really break that many pistons anymore. I used to break a hell of a lot of pistons. Used to always end up sort of snapping them, and I think it just took the industry a little while just to settle down into the ways of, into the materials that they were using. I mean, these are super solid. These are super solid. Here they've got the right amount of, they're not the right balance between being brittle and having a bit of flex, and being quite strong. I mean, I can imagine you could put this in a vise and really go at it. And I think there's a guy on YouTube I remember seeing. He did a whole, this was going back maybe 5 years, but he did a whole comparison on the materials used for certain pistons. But anyway, the most important thing of this little pink purple thing here, we have, not entirely too sure of the colour on this one, who knows, but anyway, someone will tell me. So this rack here, whilst the rack on the Rocket one here is a casted steel one from basically a mould. So they'll have a mould that had been CNC'd out, and there'll be perhaps 100 of these, and they'll do all 100 at once and let them cool down, and then they'll pop them out and done. Whereas this one they put into a machine, a CNC machine, from a piece of steel. Again, it looks tempered to me, so it looks hardened. It's difficult to tell without actually knowing what the process is. Yeah, you'll never really know. So and I every time I ask, I maybe get a different answer. So all I'm told it's the higher end, some really good steel that they use, and it's CNC machine. So all of these, and again that has traditionally led us to say it's harder. I haven't really tested one of these. I mean, it would take quite a build to test this, really, and it'd take a bit of time to test one. But it certainly feels pretty strong. Good news about it, it's the price is only around about £10, I think. I haven't really finalised how much these are going for. I've only got a few of them just in as just a little test for everyone out there. And I know there's some people who run some really bizarre, unique builds out there, which are really quite high, high FPS, high rate of fire, and they'll probably find a real good use for these. So it's pretty good. It's another little interesting piston that is priced really well. Got a great rack on it. Definitely worth checking out.